I welcome you all to the IoT e-learning. In our previous sessions, we had shared videos related to introduction to data analytics. I hope you have gone through the video. So today we'll be starting with module 4, where we'll be discussing about data and analytics for IoT. Before I start with this module 4, I would like to share one classical American science fiction TV series called Star Trek. So in that fiction TV series, a harmless furry alien creature known as Tribble is brought onto the starship. So at first this creature is very furry and very cute, and it is called Tribble, and it is just treated like a pet. Quite some time later, some unusual property shows up with this creature Tribble. So what is that? Now it is able to multiply itself at an alarming rate, to the point that the ship soon becomes so filled up with tribbles that they consume all supplies on board of the starship and begin interfering with the ship's system, resulting into collapse of the entire starship. So why I took up this Tribble? Because it gives us a moral what today IoT is also facing about. The trouble with Tribble is what we can analyze with the data that is getting generated in today's IoT. At first, IoT data, it was just a curiosity and even was useful and it was handled very correctly. But later on, when things kept on adding to a magnitude of exponential level, today we see the data generated by these systems is overwhelming. Not only this data has been to its peak, but the network bandwidth and the server resources are also increasingly taxed in their attempt to process this data, sort this data and analyze this data. Hence, it becomes very important how to manage this data, and analytics of this data is a crucial aspect in IoT. So this chapter basically will be dealing with introduction to data analytics for IoT, where this section introduces the subject of analytics for IoT, and we'll be discussing about different types of data, that is structured data and unstructured data. In the second section, we'll be dealing with machine learning. So we'll be looking into the aspect what machine learning is with regard to IoT. So this section will delve us into a major types of machine learning that are used to gain the business insights for IoT data. The third topic will be big data analytics tool and technology, where the big data is one of the most commonly used terms in the world of IoT. So this section will examine the popular big data analytic techniques like Hadoop, NoSQL, MapReduce and MPP. The next topic will be edge stream analytics. So IoT requires that the data be processed and analyzed at different levels, particularly at the endpoints. So this section examines the analysis of data at the endpoints, which we call it as edge streaming analytics. Then finally, we will be looking at network analytics, where we will be discussing about the data that flows through the network shall also be analyzed, and we call this as network flow analytics using flexible net flow in IoT systems. So net flow can help better understand the function of the overall system and heighten the security in an IoT network. So this would be the contents that we'll be discussing. To begin with, I hope you people can see a image on this slide which describes the commercial jet engine. This engine is exactly below the wing of an aeroplane, and today's jumbo jets are with dual engines. So what fascinating is about this engine? So I've been telling you in previous sessions also that these engines are particularly equipped with around 5000 sensors. So you can just imagine the amount of data that they generate. A whooping of 10 GB of data is generated per second by these engines. And just imagine what could be the fate of the dual engine. So therefore, a twin engine commercial aircraft on average, say like 8 hours a day, will generate 500 TB of data daily. And the data from these engines that are generated for every flight reaches to its peak. And now the question is about the managing, and I am just speaking about the engine part. Today the entire aeroplane is equipped with different types of sensors, from its wings to tails to the landing gear to its nose point. So just imagine the amount of data. So the potential for a petabyte of data per day per commercial aeroplane is not far-fetched, and this is just for one aeroplane. Just imagine how many number of flights fly over every day and what could be the amount of data that is generated. So before diving deeper into the data analytics, so it's very important for us to understand few of the key concepts related to this data. So depending on how the data is categorized, various data analytic tools and processing methods can be applied. So we need to understand the types of data. So and accordingly we can apply a particular analytic tool to it. So basically we'll find two categories of the data. One is called as structured data. The other one is unstructured data, as you can see in the diagram. There is another classification also, that is called as data in motion. So that is nothing but the data that flows in the network from one endpoint to the other point, versus the data at the rest, indicating the data that is stored at some data centers or stored in some databases which are at the rest. So these are the broader classifications of data that we need to understand, and accordingly what analytics can be applied on them can be better explained. So let us go in depth about what is structured data. So structured data means that these data usually have a model or follow a model or have a scheme. And if I have to take an example, good example is that a relational database management system can be a good example where the data is well structured. A good example is a spreadsheet where each cell represents an attribute and the data acquires that particular cell. So in many cases you can find this structured data in a tabular format. Good example is our spreadsheets, where the data occupies a specific cell and can explicitly be defined and can also be referenced later. So this is what we mean by structured data. So once again I'll repeat, structured data usually has a data model or a scheme that is to be followed. So there is a systematic approach of storing such kind of data, hence we call this as a structured data. So good examples related to structured data in our IT can be banking transactions or invoices from any groceries to computer log files and router configurations, all can be categorized like a structured data. And few times even our sensors data can also be structured, like temperature, then the humidity, the ambient light. So all these are examples of structured data. So these structured data can be stored very systematically, can be formatted easily, and can be queried and processed in a very systematic way. So the core type of these data are used for making our business decisions. And because they are well structured, a wide array of data analytics tools can be realized for them. For example, Microsoft Excel and Tableau, that the most of us are familiar, are very comfortable with working with such kind of data. So analytics can also be easily applied onto them. Coming to the next classification, unstructured data. So unstructured itself tells that it has no logical scheme for understanding and decoding the data. So examples of this unstructured data can be, as you can see in the diagram, a text is an unstructured data, image is an unstructured data, video and speech also come under this classification. So these are the two categories of data, structured versus unstructured. Of course there is a third classification also, which is called as hybrid, which is combination, or which is nothing but the semi-structured data, which has combination of structured versus unstructured. Examples are XML, extensible markup language, and the JSON, JavaScript object notation, where the data has semi-structured format of storage. So this we call it as the third classification, but it is not of our interest with regard to analytics. Anyway, so the smart objects in our IoT networks generate both form of data. It can be a structured data or unstructured data. So structured data is more easily managed and processed because it has a schema being defined. On the other hand, unstructured can be very difficult to deal with, and it requires different analytics tools for processing this data. So being familiar with these both classifications, it is important, because knowing which data classification we are working with makes integrating with appropriate data analytics solution much easier. Now we'll go to the other classification, that is data in motion versus data in rest. As I told you, data in motion is nothing but the data that is getting transited from one endpoint of the network to the other endpoint of the network. And data at the rest is nothing but the data stored at some data centers, or that is stored in some storage devices like hard drive, storage array, or USB drives. So from an IoT perspective, the data from smart object is considered to be always data in motion, because they travel from one node to another node. So this is often processed at the edge using fog computing. So when the data is processed at the edge, it may be filtered and deleted or forwarded for further processing, and then it is stored in some node. So data does not come to rest at the edge. So this is what we mean by data in motion. And data at rest can be typically found in IoT brokers. So in our previous class I spoke about one of the architecture. I spoke about MQTT protocol, where you come across a broker which provides data to all of its subscribers, publisher subscriber architecture. So that is typically can be viewed as a data at rest. So the brokers store these data and share this data to the intended subscribers. So the data can be stored in array for a storage array or at a data center. There are different tools that can be used to process such data at rest. So one good example of such kind of tool which particularly deals with the analytics of data at rest is Hadoop. So Hadoop not only helps with the data processing, but also it deals with the data storage. We will be discussing about Hadoop in detail further. So now let us understand IoT data analytics. Let's have an overview of it. So the true importance of IoT data from smart object is realized only when the analysis of data leads to actionable business intelligence and insights. Meaning, the importance of this data can be realized only when we have a proper analysis, and this analysis will give us an business insight to improve the business and to perform the action appropriately. The data analysis is typically broken down by the types of the results that are produced. So here we can see 4 types of data analysis. One, the descriptive, which will tell what is happening. The second one, diagnostic, why did it happen. The predictive, what is likely to happen. And the prescriptive, what should I do about it. So these are the 4 data analysis types we have. Once again I'll repeat: descriptive, diagnostic, predictive, prescriptive. So we'll quickly go through what is descriptive, what is diagnostic, what is predictive, and what is prescriptive. So in descriptive data analysis, it will tell what is happening. Say, like for example, if I take up a temperature sensor in a truck engine, so the sensor reads the temperature in the truck and will tell the appropriate the temperature of the truck engine, and this temperature can be very high or moderate. And then when it tells that the temperature is very high, we may be looking at a problem particularly related to cooling of this engine. So this is what I call it as descriptive. So when the temperature sensor in a truck tells that the temperature is very high, so it tells there is some problem with the cooling system and we have to provide an appropriate solution. Or might be the engine is overloaded. That is the reason why the temperature might be high. So I hope you understood what is descriptive. So when the temperature sensor inside a truck tells that the temperature is high, it clearly indicates that there is either a overload on the engine or the cooling system is not functioning properly. Second type, diagnostic. So in the diagnostic data analysis, so we provide an answer to a problem. Say like if I take up the same example of temperature sensor in a truck, then a diagnosis can be made related why the temperature is high, and an appropriate action can be taken. So applying diagnostic analysis across the data generated by the wide range of smart objects can provide a clear picture why the problem has occurred. Third part is predictive. So in the predictive analysis, we aim to foretell problems or issues before they occur. Like if I take up temperature values of the truck engine as samples collected from various trucks, we can make a predictive analysis where we can estimate each of the engines life that is remaining, or we can predict how far the components of engine can work more, then which will help us to either to replace the components or to make some repair into the components. This is predictive. So predictive is we gather the samples of the data. Then comes the fourth classification, the prescriptive. So prescriptive analysis goes one step ahead of predictive. So prescriptive tells us solutions for the upcoming problem. Say like a prescriptive analysis for the temperature of the truck might calculate various alternatives to cost effectively maintain our truck. Say like for example, we can suggest for oil change in the truck because of its overheating, or we can prescribe a change in the cooling system because the temperature is getting too high. So this is what we mean by prescriptive. So these are the four different types of data analysis. Once again I'll repeat: descriptive, which will tell what is happening in the system; diagnostic, it's nothing but investigating why it did happen; third one is predictive, we can predict with the past, with the history, what could happen in near future with taking up the historical data. And then comes the fourth type called as prescriptive, which is a step ahead of our predictive approach, which prescribes what can be done in future to avoid such problems. So these are the four different analysis. So now we can also look at these four analysis and evaluate their complexity with regard to their value. So like for example, the figure illustrates the four data analysis types and how they rank as complexity and value increases. We can see that the descriptive analysis is least complex and at the same time offers least value also, whereas the prescriptive, that is the fourth one, is the most complex but provides the most of the value. So that is, prescriptive is though most value is provided by it, but it is the most complex to implement. So this is what we mean by the four types of data analysis. Next, let us look at the challenges that we may face with regard to IoT data. So major of these challenges are the scaling problems and the volatility of the data. So we know what is scaling problem. Day by day, as and when the technology is getting transformed to a level that most of the things are today connected and are generating huge amount of data, scalability becomes a big issue. So due to the large number of smart objects in our IoT networks, the data is getting bigger and bigger, hence the result in performance can be costlier to resolve, often requiring complicated architecture diagrams and complicated hardware structures. So this is the scaling problem we will find. Then the other one is the volatility of the data. So what do we mean by volatility is, so with the relational databases, it is critical that the schema can be designed correctly from beginning. It's not possible because day by day data seems to be expanding, and due to lack of flexibility or revisions in the scheme, the data is not at the appropriate model level. So it keeps changing, or there is a dynamic changes in the schema that is almost required. So it is, we call this as a volatile data. So to deal with these challenges with the scaling and the data volatility, a different type of database is used today. It's called as NoSQL. So NoSQL itself indicates that there will be no structured query language that will be used. That's why it's called as NoSQL. So NoSQL database do not enforce any strict schema like our SQL, RDBMS and all. So they support a complex evolving data model. So these databases are also inherently much more scalable. So IoT also brings challenges related to live streaming nature of the data and managing this data at the network level. So these are the few challenges that we may come across in our IoT. So when we stream a data which is basically generated by smart object, becomes more challenging because it is usually of very high volume and it is valuable only if it is to be analyzed and response in a real time. So real time analysis of streaming of data allows us to detect the patterns or anomalies that could indicate a problem or a situation that needs some kind of immediate response. So real time analysis is very important, and major cloud analytics providers such as Google, Microsoft, IBM have this ability of streaming analytics, and also other applications are used to deal with this real-time analytics. This is another challenge. So there is also a challenge related to networks, which is also called as networked analytics, like when data is moved from one network to another network. So there is also a need for networking analytics, and we have also a different network analytics tools like Flexible NetFlow and IPFix are the two tools that are used for network analytics. Once again, I'll repeat the four challenges. One is the scalability of the data, the other one is the volatility of the data, then the real-time analytics and the network analytics. These are the four challenges that are faced in IoT. So I'll conclude here. In our next session, we will be beginning with machine learning. Thank you so much.